If you go to Europe and say, where is the Syrian trainer that could train brands from Vuitton to Cartier to Rolex to whatever, and then they go like, oh, Qais 24, I was on NBC, The Apprentice, and there was not called The Apprentice, The Investor, as a judge or as an advisor, as they call it. If you're there as a viewer of this amazing show, you will know what I'm talking about. If you're not there, you're missing a lot. I was pursuing what they taught me about what do I need to do to be loved and to be part of this society.
Which one do you think will help you achieve more? Is it the guilt factor or is it the feeling proud factor?
We are in the millions of dirhams, Emirates, so around $1 million, let's say, or a little bit more. We are a very small company that paid zero in marketing. All what I do, and probably you don't know me even, all what I do is I talk to my tribe, and that's creating a 7-figure business that exists in 4 countries. And we have more than 24 associates. And after 120,000 people that I trained, and I saw them growing, I probably can give you this prophecy. I think if you continue, of course, if that's your choice at the end, and that's the exit, by the way, for any palm reader, that's your choice. So I would say in a year's time, you're going to gain a lot of momentum because you're offering authentic, real added value to the people, and you're not biased, you're not adding your own, you're adding your own point of view, but you're not forcing it on the people, and that's really rare.
Welcome to episode 4 of Escapade, a show about evolving to become the best version of ourselves. In Escapade, I host guests who are adventurous and change their status quo. This is a show that hopefully will inspire you, write a new story, as it would for me. If you would like to be featured on Escapade, please let me know. I would love to hear from your story. And if you feel like supporting my work, consider subscribing, liking, and commenting, as it would trigger the YouTube algorithm and put this content in front of more people. I'm your host, Usama Nouri, and today we are discussing success, next level performance, and breaking away from the norm.
You know what I like about this setup? The voice is so addictive that I feel like I just want to do it all the time. It sounds very clear, you feel kind of isolated.
This is Qais Badran, a keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and founder and CEO of Garyvee Model, a business consulting company with presence in 4 countries in the Middle East and Europe.
I never literally had a break. And I never, no Friday, no Saturday, never, no day off. Because I want to be successful. She's like, why? And I was like, because success is important. She asked again, why? And I was like, I don't know why.
He is in constant pursuit of the most effective human development solutions, and he is here with us today to share his expert insight on how to push ourselves well outside our comfort zones. We discuss culture, society, and family, and their impact on our growth. So thank you. It's really an honor. This is the first time that we meet face to face.
Yes.
We've met virtually. And I was really looking forward to this.
Like for me, you're a manifestation of my intention. I've been talking to myself, I've been off the social media formally for long years.
Uh-huh.
And around few months ago, before actually the COVID-19, I was in Switzerland doing a training when somebody said to me, you know what, this is really a shame. We never heard of you before. And it is time for you to go on social media. Something inside of me was resisting. But then I was like, yesterday exactly. Oh, sorry, not yesterday. Yesterday something else I'll tell you about later. But around 5 or 6 days ago, I was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to be interviewed. And I want somebody different, like literally. And I believe in setting intentions. And then I get the call and I was like, that's my honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
It's my pleasure.
I'll tell you what, the whole thing is just for me. It's an excuse to meet new people,
right?
An excuse to put myself out there and possibly research and read more and understand outside my circles. You live long enough in your comfort zone to the point that you know too much, especially when you grow older and when you go into your 40s.
Right.
It just becomes too familiar. Everything becomes too familiar. And then you become one or two people. either someone who's, okay, I'm comfortable now, I don't want to change.
Right.
And the other group of people who would say, you know what, I'm 40 now, what's next?
Right.
Because you've achieved, you set your own success and then you've attained that success and now you're happy, but then what? Now what? Right? So for me, it's the unknown. And this is part of it. And here we are.
Look, I relate. I mean, I just crossed my 40 around 11 months ago. So just was not justified. I crossed my 40 around 11 months ago. But I relate to what you're saying because most of us in the human development field, actually inside of us, we're looking for love. It is all about connection, like all the speakers, although, of course, there's a lot of them that is driven by the business and they want the achievement and the money and whatever. But why in this field, if you dig inside, it's all about the people. It's all about this missing love that we would like to get through helping.
Yes,
the others.
Support, assisting and support. Yeah,
exactly. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that because, mothers get this love from their babies and, who are we to compete with mothers? So here we are. We are the fathers now.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. And the sense of, I've crossed a big milestone in my life and now, let me try and give back. And by extension, if you're able to teach something, then you've understood it well.
Yeah. Right? Don't you think that, or I don't want to do a leading question. Let me put your hat.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that this is a coping mechanism?
It could be either a coping, it could be adjusting to the circumstance, to the context. It could be many things, honestly. I haven't thought of what is it, but to me, so if you know the Myers-Briggs indicator, so I'm an ENTP, ENTP, ENFP, something like this, between, which when I read it, it means that I like to plunge in. So if there's the penguins, there's always the first one that plunges in. Yeah. That's me.
Yeah.
So for me, I just
a starter.
Exactly. So I like to go and see what's out there. I like to feel my way in the dark, without much fear. There's some anxiety. I can't lie. I can't kind of shy away from that. But there is that. But I don't care if I don't see what the end line looks like. As long as it's exciting, and that's the essence of this show, Escapade. So Escapade, which is a word I came across many years ago. It's not a very familiar word. It means adventure. In a you go hiking, you don't know where you're going. There's no real plan in the sense of where you're going, but you're going somewhere exciting. And that's what I'm trying to achieve. It's that growth.
And I think somehow if you know where you're going, a lot of the experience is different. Like the experience will be different because you already know where you're going and doesn't have that risk adventure, what's going to happen next.
No. And I think the moment you know where you're going, you have the plan, you have the step by step, you have the path written for you. You know exactly how the end line looks like. Then your myelin, that little substance, whatever it is in your mind, they call it myelin in your mind, which is literally the railway. You just hop into it and that's it, you follow it. So the room for creativity is diminished because you're exactly following your experience. You're exactly right. The moment you put your plan, you know where you're going, then your experience will speak for you. And sometimes, especially me, I feel like I want to do something different. So I've always been a technology guy.
Me too.
Exactly. There you go. And as an engineer, we follow procedures. We go step by step. We understand how things work. We follow plans, prototypes, blueprints. But creative people on the other end are not.
That's my conflict with engineering. For me, it was so challenging to fit in the engineering community. Although I started working through the IEEE, so it's the heart of engineering
of course,
somehow. But I couldn't fit in because it's too structured. And I think differentiation is what was one of the reasons for my success later on, because I was the engineer that is thinking differently. But rather than, and I think we were lucky somehow, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I see it in you as well, Usama. Rather than saying, you know, I am like, there is this type of people, I am different, look at the rest, oh my God, they don't think the same, let's create a barrier,
a distance. I
was like, no, but maybe I create a bridge because I'm alone. And I'm blessed to be aware that it was driven by loneliness, although logically I was not alone, but inside I wanted more people in my circle. So now I just want you to join my party, and I think that's how
you see
things are.
It's so weird because I feel like I've known you for 10 years now.
Right.
You're exactly speaking the way I think. Being an engineer, I've always, and in the IT industry as well, in the IT kind of realm,
right,
everything we do is about following that structure, right? But then, which I liked, and I have nothing to, you know, I have nothing against it. I mean, think with me here. Imagine if that is not the case with building planes,
right,
or building structures like Burj Khalifa or others, right? Things would fall apart. You need that discipline, that structure, that plan, that does not, you know, when you plan a mission to Mars,
right,
for example, you can't be too creative there. But then that's very specific and niche elements or niche areas. There are other elements, which is our lifestyle, the way we deal with others, the way we communicate, the way we go about doing anything in life other than those very, very niche and specific projects or products.
That's true. But did you find yourself in engineering because you loved engineering, or because it was a family sort of direction?
So it's a mix of both.
Right.
So I've always been the geek,
right,
the nerd. So I've always had a computer, and I loved fiddling around with
right,
how computers work. I've always, since my childhood, I was the sort of child who loves to know why does it work this way. So my action figures that had the remote control and everything, I had to just open it up and see how the mechanics work.
Right.
So I had that in me.
Right.
And then when I went to the college, my family wanted me to be a doctor.
Right.
So I applied for dentistry, but then I wasn't accepted and I defaulted to computer engineering.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that's exactly what I want to do.
You wanted to open people's mouth and,
no,
you know, just...
absolutely not. Absolutely. That was absolutely my family's kind of, I wouldn't say my family, the culture.
Right.
Right. As you know, we live in a culture here where if you're not a doctor, if you don't have a DR in front of your name or an ENG, or you're part of those two specifically, then you're probably a little less in society, right? Rank wise, true. Which is sad, because to me now, with my mindset, no, those are natural sciences, natural disciplines that you would never have the same impact on society, the same way, let's say, a philosopher would have, the same way a psychologist will have, a sociologist will have, a political scientist will have, right? Those social sciences have far more impact if they're done well. The problem is in our culture, if someone studies that, he's a history teacher.
Yeah. But you know, that's very interesting, and I think it's worth drawing attention to it to our audience. There is a lot of people who are living the stereotype or the archetype of an engineer. And what I started my work with in Egypt, I'm not Egyptian, but I was honored to live in Egypt for around 10 years, as I was honored to live here and being born in the UAE. I was like telling them, well, you know, why you're fitting the engineering archetype, that you need to, you know, follow everything that has been said, you know, whatever is creative is interesting, but if it's following the professor point of view, then it's better. Why don't we just, you know, try something else? Why don't you do something a bit different? And you know, one of the challenges that I found, and I think a lot of people would relate to this, that the first time I've been out of the box in my university, my professor panicked. And I think I call it a sort of bullying. And I know that a lot of the Middle Eastern students are suffering from this.
That's
so
true.
If you're a professor and one of your colleagues is doing this, you need to know the impact on the people. So he's like, the first professor was like, but why you're thinking like that? انت بتتفلسف عليا. Is like, are you showing off?
Yeah, showing off.
Are you showing off? And I was like, yes, because I believe in this idea. And he was like really against me. And I got my first...
He got offended.
I got my first F, not because I was not a good student, but because I was out of the box. To prove that, I taught this this subject to a lot of my colleagues. But then I noticed that this is a pattern. A lot of the people in many countries, I mean, we spoke about Egypt, education there is really great. Maybe it was my own experience. However, I noticed that this is in a lot of other universities,
absolutely true,
including Europe, including the US. You know, they were like, yeah, but never challenge the professor. But I am in the university to challenge the professor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's what would create the new professor, isn't it? But this struggle made me really interested in the rebel. And again, the rebel archetype, and to get people to come and be around me. And I found out that marketing was the escape. Because when I attended my first session with an amazing organization called ISIC, most of the people in ISIC would, like, they're friendly, they're thinking outside the box, they're changing the world, literally. And I want to tell you a story that changed the way I think. It was the moment where I broke my engineering mindset. There was a gentleman, I think his name is Rodrigo, if I remember well. He's Brazilian. But he was from the poor area of Brazil. His dream was to become one of the consultants in, I wouldn't mention the name, but it's one of the large organizations, something around EY, but it's not EY. And then his dream was to be an EY director in the United States.
Okay.
Now, being Brazilian, wanting to apply for the US, there's thousands and thousands of Brazilians who are doing that. And he had zero hope. So what he did, this is where I met him in Egypt. He's like, you know what? I looked to this company in the most poor place in Africa. And I got a job there like this because I speak English. Right. No one is interested to go to Africa.
To that part, yeah.
And I got the job. And then I was like, okay, let me look to something interesting in Africa. And I found Egypt. And from Egypt, he got the job back in the US. And when I met him, he was a president. His dream. And he was 26 years old.
Okay, that's smart.
And I was like, look, he just took a little detour.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting all this years in Brazil, he just decided to go to Africa where there's no competition. And from there, he managed to go back to the US, 26 years old. And that was like, all right, you know, no, like, I don't know if
that's creative.
If you see this visual image where a lot of people in the queue, and if you ask them why you're in the queue, they say, because everyone else is in the queue.
Yes.
I was like, hey, but wait a second, there's no queue. I can go anywhere. And I find in that community, the ISIC and marketing community, a lot of things that when I added to engineering, I think engineers started to break through.
True.
But here's, Osama, how things are created. I'm going to give you as well a dating example, just so for us to get a little bit out of the entrepreneurship. So if other type of viewers are watching. So now, if we look to the millennials and the newer generation, they are starting to think outside the box. They become the rebels, or this is...
Yes.
Because, you know, what we just said that, you know, you need to leave the queue and try to find your own. I think around 7,230,000 persons just said it before us. However, and which created a culture that let's get out of the norm. But then now everyone is in that, which made it another archetype.
Yeah.
It's another queue.
Yeah.
It's a queue called let me break the status quo.
Correct.
But the independence is when you look to the situation with no judgment whatsoever and just decide, do you want to follow the status quo because maybe it's great? or not, and be a rebel and go create things. In this little pattern, thousands of dollars are wasted. People are destroyed because a lot of them, and I coach a lot of entrepreneurs, you could see that the entrepreneur is just wanting to challenge this archetype because everyone is challenging it for no reason.
Right. We started very casually and we went straight into a discussion.
But that's the best thing.
Exactly. The design of your life. What is success and how can I design my life to become successful? Is it what people tells me? Is it what I tell myself? How do I do it in your opinion?
Right. So I want to couple that with your question about success off camera. So where am I heading and what is the definition of success? Now, what I invite the viewers of your show is to ask themselves, like, what is success for me? And whatever the answer at this stage, write it down, and that's for you is the Bible of success. But what I invite you as well to do is to ask this question on a monthly basis and write down the answer for what is success for you. And then every 6 months review how your definition of success is changing, because when you review, you start to have a feel of what is really success for you. What is going to happen when you ask this question, and then we'll come back to how to design our life. So for me, let's say today, I sat with my wife and we were discussing what is the future of our baby. He's not delivered yet, but on the way, inshallah. And my definition, if you ask me today, for success is I want to make sure that his life is good. And then after 1 hour of leaving home, I was like, no, you know what? My success is going back to what I want to do, So I really encourage people not to find one definition, but write down as much as possible about success and then reach to what they really want for themselves and never be apologetic about it. You'll be surprised about this, probably, maybe not. I have a lot of friends that are energy readers, palm readers, horoscopes experts. Okay. Yeah. And they're entrepreneurs in their own way. So, there is a big hype about energy coaching, spiritual growth, and entrepreneurs are needing it because entrepreneurship is not easy and they need to feel a little bit certain about life. So I asked them, what is the biggest question that you get? I even was once in Thailand and there was a palm reader and I asked her, what's the biggest question that you get? And they all said, purpose. What is my purpose in life? Now, I have an exercise that I tell my team or I tell my audience to do to find their purpose. And I invite you to try it. So I give them Post-its and I tell them, write down everything, brainstorm. We never brainstorm purpose.
Okay.
So brainstorm your own purpose.
With who? With yourself. Okay.
No judgment whatsoever. You get a Post-it and write down all the words, one word on each Post-it of what comes to your mind when I say purpose. So maybe the first thing is lose weight. Okay. Success, money, family, love, and then categorize them into 3-4 categories and create in your room or anywhere you like a purpose board. And every 1 week, go back and do the same brainstorming and see how the category will grow. Most of the people reach to an idea that there's nothing called purpose by one definition, and they reach to a conclusion, and I don't want to give you that conclusion. You can reach to whatever you want. That it's about living purposefully, rather than following one purpose. And then, every time I hear that, I tell them, if it is your purpose, if it's God-given purpose or universe-given, if it's by any definition your purpose, shouldn't purpose find you? It's your purpose, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Then it should find me.
Okay.
Right? But how come I am here and that's my purpose? And unless then you believe into
So would you define purpose if purpose would find me? That means I wouldn't, in the abstract way of thinking about it, then it wasn't me who decided my purpose. That means, what do you call Hitler's purpose? It found him, and it was a very, very, very bad purpose. How would that go with the purpose finding me? What if the purpose that found me is a bad purpose? Because I didn't, if I'm waiting for the purpose to find me in the abstract way, obviously, of understanding that, because in my mind, the way I think of it is, and I always think about that, there's nothing called follow your passion. I don't like following my passion, because usually my passion is skewed with what the culture is injecting in me of the definition of passion. The same thing with purpose. If I would agree with what purpose is thrown at me, then maybe the next hour I get a call from some big exec who's asking me to become the CEO of a company. And that's, in my mind, that's, wow, that's nice. That's my purpose, because it's big money, it's big corporation, but then it's taking me away from my family. And that's what the culture is telling me. Yeah, you're becoming successful now. And it's not my passion, or sorry, it is my passion because the culture has told me that this is my passion, but then it doesn't make me happy.
All right.
Right. So how does this go with the purpose finding?
Let's reset our conversation. Start from the base, the basics, from the base. So you are here and you have a dream in your heart because your soul, or whatever you believe in, is driven. So it could be your programming, your chemistry, your culture, whatever it is, something inside of you, your identity wants to achieve something. Mm-hmm. And that's the purpose. Now, this inside is covered with layers. One of them is all the healing that you need to do from what culture and family created in you. Mm-hmm. Because you might at one stage have the purpose to become an engineer. We come back to engineering because the family made it interesting for you.
Correct.
And you discovered that it wasn't your purpose, it was your family purpose. It could be because you're now so much in need of love that your purpose became I want to help the world, or become a fashion designer, so I am in the heart of the attention of everybody. So those are all your layers where your pursuit of purpose will help you heal. And what I encourage you to do is to just follow it, but be conscious about it. Mm-hmm. And by conscious is when you write and brainstorm, you always bring back your mind that, okay, I have much more than only this. What usually will happen is when those things drop, the layers, you will reach to a certain clarity where everything is aligned, mm-hmm. not out of healing, but out of clarity. So you'll find yourself that your skill set, what is natural for you, where you want to go, is all aligned together. And this moment, few people reach to it. Some people take lives to reach there. Mm. But the power of that moment is undescribable. When you're totally aligned inside, you will start to feel that everything is manifesting right away. I can explain that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. What we're lucky today with as entrepreneurs, people in the society, that we can artificially break those layers. Let's take an example. Yeah. If I look to one of my father's generation, today for them to know that their purpose, for example, is to live happy or to do whatever, it takes time. But and they might, you find people now that they're in their 70s and they've not done nothing in their lives, but they still believe that the purpose is something imaginary that they inherited from the culture before that. Okay. However, today, as an entrepreneur, I can hire a coach, an energy healer, whatever, that can help me in 3-4 sessions to go like, okay, this layer is gone, this layer is gone, this layer is gone. And we're becoming more and more conscious about the difference between acting out of what you really are and acting for what you programmed to be.
Yes.
Not that you will ever be unprogrammed, because we're all programmed somehow.
Of course,
Westlife, I don't know if you watched that show.
Yes.
So
there's always a bias. There's always an influence of everything that, we're a product of our experiences. So yeah, absolutely, I agree.
But I want you to imagine this with me. There is a story that one of the moments that changed my life as well. I was in Thailand in a entrepreneurial festival, and I took a large suite. And I wanted to party in the evening in my suite. So I invited around 6 or 7 entrepreneurs. We had a guitar, we're playing guitar and, talking. And I'm looking there. So the first person on my left, she's a lady. She created an app and she said, we're just comparing kind of muscles. She did like $12 million worth of investment into her app. Her husband and boyfriend at that stage, now husband, $50 million. He owned his own VC. Can you imagine? Next, a couple that has a business of 12 or $9 million, I can't remember. And so on. Then they came to me and I was like, in Arabic, عندي sutra, like I'm all good guys, all is fantastic. But what I tried to dig here inside of them, I discovered that their brain structure is too simplistic about life, but too sophisticated about business. They are not wasting time into these layers of debate and they don't watch our shows, man. For a reason, right. They crossed that time and they reached a time where, I know everything. It's now so simple. I want to be happy because I want to be happy. I'd like to have a little bit of money. I want to express myself in the world. And I don't want to get into debates and things because that is not helping my performance. A total alignment. When they are there, the manifestation level, if you're not there, if you're there as a viewer of this amazing show, you will know what I'm talking about. If you're not there, you're missing a lot. It's like having an upgrade in life, because then if you have an idea, it comes to reality, not because of law of attraction, because law of physics and nature. When you're not wasted.
You're talking about distractions. Just try to have clarity by removing all distractions from your mind and focus on what you need to achieve. This is what you're trying to say.
Totally.
Yeah. You see, the problem with, I think, the main problem in our culture or in this part of the world, or even universally, right, is when you're distracted by everything that's going around you, whether it's your culture, the political situations, the even anything that has no impact or positive impact on your own self-growth, and then you become too ingrained in that, thinking that that's your purpose, then you're losing.
Yeah. Let's take an example on the Middle East. All right. So you name it: Jordan, Syria, Palestine, Egypt, whatever. Any of the those cultures. You will find this, for example, very connected to our tribe.
Very true.
I start speaking Arabic, thinking of Arabic culture. So a lot of our aims, a lot of our energy inside is because we want to achieve something in the society.
Yes. Because
we're tribal somehow, so the ranking makes a difference. But now if you look to our decisions towards this layer, you'll find that a lot of us, by the way, Arabs as an example, there's a lot of other cultures like this. You'll find that the first money that we'll get will go buy an expensive car.
Yeah.
Now, this is a destroying decision for entrepreneurs, because if you have the money, even in installments, and you can put it into your website or something that push you forward, you will be somewhere else. But True. That's the first decision. Why? Because it's community. So that layer is still there.
Social status.
Yeah. You will take decisions to show more, to be recognized more, rather than thinking of what can get the job done. Your choice, even in recruitment, you will choose people not based on, I appreciate this is generalization, but a lot of us will choose people that complete that part of us that is not healed yet. So cuter, I don't know who, better, whatever. And then you end up by small decisions that all of them is sucking your energy that makes you the success you want to be. versus somebody that they get rid of those layers and was like, this is my goal. What is the shortest path to my goal? Let me do it.
So we cannot discount the impact that people have on our high performance goals. How do we deal with them? Because you're saying this. Now, you and I are living here, probably away from our extended families in the way that we're not, there's no toxic influence on our decisions and our planning because of our physical location here in a different country and so on and so forth. How do people who are living with their extended families, extended friends, and all that societal influence, and which we cannot never discount that, and it's not as simple as, okay, I'm not going to listen to them anymore. All that negative influence on, and you can see that it's impacting, it's hindering your high performance. How do you deal with that?
There's a few steps that I want to be very pragmatic here. So I'm going to give you a few steps, and I appreciate that this is very generalized. So not everyone is the same and not all the families are the same. The first thing we want to understand consciously is it's okay to have a lot of self-love and love at the same time. So knowing that I love my family, I love my father and mother and extended family. I come from a tribe in the borders of Iraq. So we're very tribal. They call me Sheikh because we have the tribal structure. I love them and I want to help them. But at the same time, I need to have my self-love and I need to prioritize my self-love and know that that is not selfishness. When I do that, now my brain is focused on what can I make for this human to survive? And then I need to be aware that if I survive, I'm doing the following for my community as Syrians. So today when I say, look, I'm the one of two or one of the few Syrians that are exporting luxury training to the world rather than importing it. If you go to Europe and say, where is the Syrian trainer that could train brands from Vuitton to Cartier to Rolex to whatever, and then they go like, oh, Qais is a representation. So that is something from my community. And it doesn't impact on, like, I'm not saying it in a, hey, look at me, I'm the guy. Although part of it is...
There's nothing wrong with being proud of what you've achieved.
Totally.
That's absolutely true.
But now when people from Europe saw me and then they think of the Syrian immigrants, they know that we're productive people. And you know, the impact of my work as an ambassador of what a Syrian can do or an Arab can do or somebody from the Middle East can do is great.
And you're connecting this directly to self-love.
It's self-love because the minute I discovered, and I'm going to tell you the story in a minute, the minute I discovered that I need to focus on myself, this happened. The second thing is you need to know that the only way you can, so role model is number one. That's one of the impact of your success. The second thing is financials. If you can be successful, you can help people financially and they need it a lot. The third thing is their view about you and the rules they gave you will completely change, and it's really fun to see it when you're successful. I remember when I said, I'm a trainer, I'm a speaker, and they were like, trainer ya akhuya, like what does, in Arabic, trainer means like a coach in sports. And they were like, what kind of trainer? But I remember the day when I was talking, there's like around 800 people in my theater, and and I looked to my father and my mother and they're like, that's our son, But my father was never challenged me. On the contrary, he believed me, but my society did. Like, who the hell, what is this training? What's this blah, blah, blah. So this independence comes from, I deserve to do mistakes that I want to do. And I don't care for some time. What you think, because I'm going to do me, you're going to do you. And that's really a big key.
Live and let live.
When I was 20, I started my training and speaking career. 22, I was certified from the World Bank. 24, I was on NBC, The Apprentice. There was not called The Apprentice, The Investor, as a judge or as an advisor, as they call it. 25, I'm a training manager, etc., etc. 30, I'm in London doing my studies, doing my movies and whatever. And we were playing a little game called I forgot the name, transformational game.
Right.
So the main coach is telling me, take a card and read it for us. So on that card, it's written, take a break. As a coach would do. She's like, reflect on it. And I was like, take a break. Let's have Kit Kat.
Okay.
She's like, guys, can you be serious? And I just paused for a minute and I said, you know what? I'm 30 years old. I never had a break in my whole life. I never had a break. And it's not exaggeration when somebody tells you I never had a break. And they did I never literally had a break. Zero. So I started working when I was 5. I wanted always to overachieve. I wanted to be number one. I was working 5 organizations at the same time, giving lectures and whatever. And I never, no Friday, no Saturday, never, no day off. And she's like, why you're doing that? And I was like, because I want to achieve. Going back to your question. She's like, why? She's like, I told her because I want to be successful. And she's like, why? And I was like, because success is important. She asked again, why? And I was like, I don't know why. She's like, think more. Why? And I was like, because I will not be part of this society. And the final why was like, and what would you miss here? And I was like, love. And she's like, why? And I told her, because my father told me that. And I discovered at that moment that for 30 years in my life, I was pursuing my father's dream. I was pursuing what they taught me about what do I need to do to be loved and to be part of this society. And things changed. I started to take a break. I start to have holidays. And I want to go back to something that your audience might feel. 2 things happened. This drive that I had is gone. Suddenly.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Exactly. So sometimes I go like, I want to work, but there is a nice book that I want to read. Should I work or read? Now Kais, the true Kais, is saying, I want to read, man. I don't want to work. Forget work. And I don't go for work. So my achievement from 15 to 30 is probably 5 times my achievement from 30 to 40. Yes, I have now a company that exists in 5 countries and the company is doing great. But if I was with that spirit, I promise you will be a bigger place, but I will not be myself.
But that's then, I think, in my opinion, that's a natural progression. When you're young, when you're in your 20s, you have so much energy that you don't long for a break or a rest. Now, this is toxic if it spills over your 30s and 40s, but initially you need to have that drive to create, to overcome the initial inertia and create momentum, and then you will be on autopilot or auto drive, kind of because of the momentum in your 30s and 40s. But I want to go back to feeling guilty versus feeling proud, because this is a very, very sensitive topic, especially with our generation. And by our generation, I mean the people who are now almost achieving, but then they have their family, but then they want to achieve more. And then it's difficult for them to strike a balance. Which one do you think will help you achieve more? And you mentioned self-love, but then also you mentioned feeling guilty. Which one do you think will help you achieve more? Is it the guilt factor or is it the feeling proud factor? The thing that will push you even to more, to a new heights, let's say it that way.
I don't have data, to be honest, so I cannot answer.
From your personal experience.
Personal experience, you can achieve with both, but one of them is not going to be you. And what I mean by that, if I had the chance to be having fun when I was in my 20s, I would take this chance. What I missed is the glory of the 20s, where I could have been doing the things that I would love to do, where I cannot do it now when I'm 40. So I think today,
Do you think you missed them?
I think I missed them.
Like what?
For example, I didn't party enough.
Okay.
I used to party a lot, but
Is that something that you would consider?
Let me continue. You'll get that. So I wanted to do more movies and take more risks with my movies, but I decided to quit just for me to be more into my business entrepreneurial thing. I would have studied other things. I would studied art. I would spend time in Florence, just looking there to the beauty of art. But there was a time where I had that chance, but now when I took more important things like my baby, my wife that I love, my mother and father, they're more important to me. Now that you reach a moment where you say, no, I'm going to do something else. So I don't regret, because regret is not going to give anything. Plus, I really don't regret. And I try to take the chance now to do what I missed. But if I go back, if you're now in your 20s, enjoy your time. Garyvee said it all the time. Enjoy your time. But then when you start to progress, then start warming up. Not that I believe in everything that Gary is saying.
It's exactly, you mentioned Garyvee and all of those self-help, which is a great segue to the last part of this discussion, which is the self-help business. I personally think it's a very toxic business at this point in time. It creates that dopamine rush in your mind that, you know what, I'm gonna do it. It's like a sugar rush, right? You take a bar of Snickers, you feel all energetic, but then an hour later you feel down and you feel, you know what, no, I haven't. Because the instant gratification that motivational speak or that self-help talk or book or activities that you were supposed to do was not achieved, that instant gratification. And because it's not a slow growth, and because it doesn't tell you that, you know what, no, it's a 5, 10 year, sometimes 20-year process. It doesn't, because it's not interesting if you mention it that way. It's interesting when they say, you know what, do this every day, next year you will get your promotion. It gives you that sense of entitlement that because I worked, I must get something in return. Whereas life doesn't work that way. People work harder than, like 10 times harder than I did, and they're not as successful as I am. I'm not saying I am, but in my view, I am successful, and they might not think themselves as success or what they've achieved as success. But because of that self-help and that motivational and that push and that dopamine rush, it just gets them there. So what do you think of Garyvee and others who are, in my opinion, not pragmatic, but gives that level of dream that people get?
So how does this industry work?
And the self-help
industry. And I want you to be aware of it, because there's a lot of good information in the self-help, but at the same time, when you're aware of it, you know what are the side effects of it. So this is how it works. If it's happening,
you apply your own filtering system. You take what you think is correct, and you just leave out or filter out.
100%. And you know if they're saying really out of authenticity or they're playing the game of brainwash. So let's start with the George Carlin joke. I'm a big fan of George Carlin. He used to say, but if it's self-help, why do I need to read it? Like it should help you without, trying hard.
Absolutely true, yeah.
But let's think of the following. The first thing they will do, the step number 1, and if you're a speaker, you might do that, but do it ethically. They tell you a story, and storytelling, the power of storytelling, it disconnects the logical brain and it's activate the right brain. So it activates oxytocin, which gives you a feeling of cliffhanging. You want to know what happened next. And it activates dopamine, which makes you happy. And usually they choose a story that is happy and successful over themselves, where they say, this is how they became millionaire. But they don't stop that being millionaire, because millionaire is not enough. They show you the lifestyle, the kids, the beautiful wife, the beautiful husband, the car, etc. So that you go like, oh my God, I want to live there. So notice now that there's no logic anymore, or reduced logic, and you're more in that moment. And then what they do after that is they give you a bit of statistics. So this is killing the logic completely, because the statistics will be, this person became successful, this person, those are the testimonials. Now you're imagination and your logic is agreeing, and now you're following what they're suggesting. After that, they start to give you tools which could be helpful, but those tools are always opening doors for you rather than closing. And by the end, you will end up wanting more. What I like about Garyvee that he doesn't do a lot of this. He just gives you everything that he believes in. But I'm going to give you 2 quick examples or 3 examples, and you can apply those rules on him. So Tony Robbins and his tribe.
Yeah.
So I forgot the name of the gentleman with the blue eyes who sells you sales technique. Always on, whenever you look now to Tony Robbins, he will come up. And Russell Branson or something, the gentleman for the funnels. This is what they do all the time. They give you a story. They tell you what you do. They play with your identity a bit, telling you that you can do it. You're the greatest. And this is vague language because you're probably not the greatest. And then none of us is the greatest. We're all great in what they do.
Do what you can't. Follow your, I don't know.
You're unlimited. Whoa, really? Am I unlimited? But you're limited. You're about to die and you will die. So you are limited. But this feeling of being unlimited is irresistible. And then they leave you and tell you, come and buy our work. So you want more. The side effect of this is you go there, if you attended any of Tony Robbins, you go there with full energy, ready to break the world. But then you go out and the energy, you hit reality and you discover that the story that they installed is a different reality than your reality. And you start to break down what you do because you believe in Tony Robbins and he's a great guy anyways. You're going to go and watch more and more and more. And now your brain gets addicted to those realities. And you start to disconnect from the real life. A real success entrepreneur is like, okay, those are cool. I'm going to hear them once in
a while,
maybe none. And then I'm going to go and look to reality and create my reality. This is the model number 1. Model number 2 is the Garyvee model. So Garyvee is, imagine the following. We're standing in the queue and suddenly somebody shout out and say, you're missing. Run after me. And he start running. And then people say, well, we're standing here. Should we stay or should we run? So the first 5 run with Gary and then 10 run with Gary. And then the rest of the people they don't want to miss
what the crowd, what the others are following.
Yeah, and everyone is running. So if you notice now, Garyvee and his tribe created this heated, you need to post 24/7, be online, hustle. Even the word hustle.
Yeah.
Think of it, hustle. It's somebody going to hustle. It's not the right word, but we've got to go and hustle. So what happened now? We have a lot of people who are overstressed, thinking that they're not good enough. Whatever we're doing is not enough. I really think this is the complete bias because we are living as the best marketer for social media. Because what make Instagram and Facebook, and by the way, Gary is an investor there and a close friend of them, what makes them better and bigger, and even Apple or whatever, is us using more.
Of course, yeah.
But we are
posting more and just being active more. Yeah.
Totally. But we are doing more because they told us that if we don't do more, we will not achieve. But now, because everyone is posting more, we need to post more rather than post destructive added value quality content.
So it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
To get quantity. So, those 2 dangerous skills is creating a very much another status quo where people is living either in this reality or this reality rather than living the real reality. You know what? I can have my time and post it once. Let me give you an anecdote to support my words. 3,000 followers on my Instagram. I'm dying to make them 4,000. I have 3,000.
You are, by the way, 3,000 more than me. That's how
okay, super. We generate out of zero marketing around, I don't want to mention the number, but people would know, we are in the millions of dirhams, Emirates. So around $1 million, let's say, or a little bit more. We are a very small company that paid zero in marketing. All what I do, and probably you don't know me even, all what I do is I talk to my tribe, and that's creating a 7-figure business that exists in 4 countries. And we have more than 24 associates. None of what Garyvee said applied. But I still have my reality of success. I travel the world. I have my time. I spend at least 3 days a week that I am just relaxed and
You're
reading.
not burned out?
I was burned out sometimes, but most of the time I'm not. So what I invite you to do is to say, if you want to take one thing out of this interview, if I may suggest, is let's create our own realities. Let's see it and walk to the streets and start to see through you, not through what me and you and Gary and Tony and Lisa told you. Just be you.
That's very profound. And I think it's difficult. It's very difficult for people to understand it for 2 reasons. In my view, there are 2 camps of people. One which is exactly synonymous to what you've just mentioned. You have the group of people who are in their comfort zone. They're happy. They're myelin, that chemical substance in their mind is just very, very thick, and they're just following that path that their experience have taught them to do. So it's very difficult for them to change. And then there are the others who are exactly what you mentioned. They're happy, they jump, they just go, and they don't care, they don't understand because the others are telling them to do that. Now, in this way, both of them are, what you're saying is both of them are potentially not doing good to themselves, because group A are following the status quo and they're just, following the norm, the culture, their own comfort zone. The others are following someone else's comfort zone, someone else's instructions, and not their own reality. What you're saying is you have to strike a balance. You have to have a better view of your own reality, apply your own intuition, apply your own rationality into your own context, and then figure out the next way.
Totally.
And I take, there's a very kind of big scholar called, I think, Carlin, who said the fool is the precursor to the savior. So what the key takeaway from this is, when you try to change to something else better, necessarily you will start as a fool. You don't know. So what do you know? So literally 4 months ago, I didn't know how to operate a camera. Now I'm doing this. When I started, I was a literal fool in that domain. What do I know? Until now, what do I know? 4 months is nothing, right? But then I accepted that state because I know for sure, and I'm damn well know that tomorrow I'll be better than today, and so on and so forth. And I think this is what people need to know, is to accept the starting point of them being fools in that new domain that contains experts, and that dignity of theirs or that pride of theirs is not important in that at that point in time, because they have intention of becoming better. What do you think about that?
I think first I want to give you a prophecy.
Yeah?
And 9 out of 10 of my prophecies happened.
Okay.
You are going to be a great success. And I can give you dates.
Oh, wow.
Here is how accurate
so
is
you're
my
one
prophecy.
Of those palm readers, huh?
I'm not going to do palm reading. I'm just analyzing your drive versus your vision versus your dedication versus how much you're practical. I apply all the rules. And after 120,000 people that I trained and I saw them growing, I probably can give you this prophecy. I think if you continue, of course, if that's your choice at the end.
Yeah.
And that's the exit, by the way, for any palm reader. It's your choice. So I would say in a year's time, you're going to gain a lot of momentum because you're offering authentic, real added value to the people, and you're not biased. You're not adding your own. You're adding your own point of view, but you're not forcing it on the people. Yeah. And that's really rare. I think you're focusing as well on not the famous versus the big names. And I think people are tired from big names. They're waiting for the people who are practitioners. Israel before me, or I forgot the gentleman. Yeah, exactly.
Coach, yeah.
The coach. They're people that come from real life. They're not there to bullshit you or tell you anything. So I think this is really needed. And so that's my prophecy for you. When you put yourself out there, you will know how you behave and how reality would feel like. Let me give you some examples. I work a lot with fashion entrepreneurs and fashion people, in addition to different things. Workaholic again. But a lot of people enter fashion and they start their fashion brands, and then it doesn't work, which is very normal. There is millions of people doing fashion now. However, few people will start to say, okay, now I figured out the reality. I figured out that my friends who told me I will buy from you is not going to buy. And that's across all businesses. I figured out that it's a lot of too expensive, that the only way to produce high quality is to increase the price. Anyways, so when you figure that reality and you're having small investment and you figure out if you really have still the heart to continue, you know that this is your business. This is something that you will achieve in. However, if you feel like, oh my God, like, I don't want to do it, that means probably there's something else waiting for you. And I want to probably add the words, let's not demonize corporates. This is one of the things that is very popular now, that corporates is a demon and whatever.
Go do your passion, start up your own thing. Exactly. Yep.
So let's understand entrepreneurship, and maybe we conclude with this if you like. I know I'm just aware of your time. So entrepreneurship is like a stray cat. What you do, if you watch, I take care of a lot of street cats. You'll find that a lot of them die, unfortunately. A lot of them die. Out of around 200 cats that I took care of in the last 5 years, in the streets, giving them food and visiting them often, 2 survived till now. Like they crossed the 5 years. Out of those hundreds. They all die, disappear, they get in a fight, they get under the car, they don't eat, I don't know, they disappear. The reason is, versus a cat at home, that there's no system. They have to go and live in this randomness. So entrepreneurship is like this. You're going now to the random. You might fail because your doubts are stopping you. You might fail because your calculation is stopping you, because your assumptions, because the world changed quicker than you think. There's thousands of reasons,
parameters, variables.
And that's why when you're a successful entrepreneur, beyond the 5 years, 85% of any entrepreneurship will close in 5 years.
Absolutely correct.
You go like, you know what? I was on growth hormone, mental growth hormone. You are, as a human, you became very powerful. So some people can do that and they can do this thing, but the easiest way to crack that code is to start small, don't take big risk, like they say, and grow little by little. That will be the fastest path to your success. Now, some other people would like to be at home, like a little cat, which is a corporate. Not that corporate life is not entrepreneurial as well. However, the rules are a little bit clearer. Right. You know who you're gonna, I don't want to say the word here, but like take care of, be political with, that what you need to create, you need to, who to challenge and who to follow and who to lobby with. It's a little bit clearer. However, corporate life will put you in a challenge, which is your own personal development, which is being in a place that you don't like and dealing with somebody that you cannot handle. So here your growth is a little bit different, because now there's somebody who doesn't like you and he's stopping from your growth and you need to find a solution. In entrepreneurial life, you say, okay, that client is not working with me. I'm going to find another client. So see here is a bit different. The best way to start, in my view,
it's a very good way to look at it. Yeah,
is to do both.
Okay.
Stay in corporate. Never start your own business unless you're really expert in everything. And start your business on the side till your business crosses 2 or 3 years, and then leave corporate and join your business when you have clients, when you have money. Final thing I want to add here is I've seen people who are really like CEOs of big names that left and started their own, and they sucked in entrepreneurship. The power of corporate is unbelievable because everything is working. You're like a cat at home.
Yes.
The food is going to be there. And a small example, I used to be the regional trainer for Louis Vuitton. Mm-hmm. So when I call a hotel and I say, hello, I'm Louis Vuitton. Oh, sir.
Right.
Welcome. When I say now I'm gray matter, they were like, can you tell us more? Well, we're a boutique agency that does this and this and this. Oh, okay, of course. How can I help you, sir? So this power and influence, I thought it was me and my charm, but it's actually Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
May he rest in peace.
So, last question.
Right.
You mentioned retailers and fashion and boutiques and all that sort of line of business. And this is your expertise. What advice do you have for them?
All right, let me think. I'll put it in context. Maybe that's the reason for your question, but tell me if it's not.
Yeah.
I think now we're struggling in retail. A lot of
in this time, in this day and age,
a lot of stores are closing. You're hearing about bankruptcy in the largest companies in the world.
Yeah.
So what you want to do to grow your business is, first of all, avoid all the things that is leaking your energy and taking out a lot of your sales. Let me start with one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, this is one of the most challenging things ever. I would tell you that with all the power that people have, they couldn't change it. All the trainers tried and the psychologists, and they couldn't change it. And I'm going to try not to change it. Please, if you're a retailer, if you're a salesperson anywhere, stop saying, how may I help you? Stop doing this right now. Research is telling us just by stopping saying, how may I help you? Your sale is increasing between 16%, that the most pessimistic research, to 26%. Let me explain why.
Just by stop saying, how may I help you? By the way, I agree with you. I almost never attended to a salesperson when I entered a retail shop. When he says, how may I help? I was like, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just looking, right?
I'm just looking, yeah.
Right. So here's the first thing. How may I help you is a very logical question. So it activates your left brain. It activates everything related to numbers. It activates everything related to criticism and to objections. So it starts the relationship negatively. So even if they tell you, I'm looking for this, you already set them to the concept of features rather than the experience itself. That's number one. Number two, 85% of the people, they don't know what they want, especially men, funny enough. They go and they need to create a space where they see what you have, and then decide. So when you ask a person, how may I help you? You're pushing them to give you a decision. And most people hate to be pushed to take a decision when they're not ready with a decision. They take it negatively. So they resist you and they look at you as someone that doesn't exist. Third thing is you're killing the opportunity to build a relationship. So the replacement for how may I help you is, how are you today? First time in our store, let me offer you a tour. Or I give them always a tool called the anchor. Do you know there's a new piece in the store that no one saw before? Take your time. Now you created an anchor. They'll come back. Well, what is the new piece? Or there's a secret that no one knows about this store. But whenever you take a look, I'd love to show it to you. Now they want your help. So fourth thing is they want to know who you are. I am Kais. I'm not a salesperson. Because as a salesperson, you're just a robot, somebody that is there to offer them the product. However, when you're a person, Kais, and you're speaking to them, storytell a little bit, have the courage to be equal, now they treat you as a person, and that reduces the possibility of them rejecting you. All of this is killed by how may I help you. So my suggestion today, just start by not saying, how may I bloody help you? No more, how may I help you? Get into the relationships. It's dreadful, the reality of that you see today in our stores.
It is.
Around the world. We do mystery shopping in 68 brands from all kind of industries in more than 20 countries. We go and do mystery shopping every year. A lot of people will start with how may I help you. A lot of people will suggest. I give a quick anecdote. I was in Monte Carlo around a few years ago, And I asked for a limited edition timepiece that is around 250,000 dirhams. And the lady said it's sold out. And I was like, so? And she's like, I did that in Dusseldorf. I did that in Frankfurt. I did that in London. I did that in Geneva. And most of the time, I get the same answer. It's sold out. Can I offer you something else? It's like, how may I help you? We are losing a lot of money today in retail. Then we're losing our jobs, and then we complain why
from the economy and
why I'm losing my job, why we're moving e-commerce. We're losing jobs because we're not proactive. We're not adding value to our client. Hey, tell me why you fall in love with this timepiece. Why did you like this shirt? What's your style? Let me give you some suggestions. So my second advice to you is add value. You are there to add value. You're not there just to be, here's your cup of coffee, sir. Enjoy it.
Right. I think that's timeless and across industries, not just retail advice. To really understand why, to connect. Because if you understand the reason, then you can offer immediately as a salesperson or as someone who's trying to offer value, an alternative. You don't have to say it's out of stock. You don't have to say that we don't offer it. And you don't have to start with how may I help you? Because that's, you said it rightfully, that puts you at a different level, which gives the client a bargaining power that you offer to them, which maybe changes the mind and puts them in a mindset where, you know what, no, it's just, I'm not interested anymore. That's very, very nice. Which leads me to the last thing. Qais, as Grey Matters, how people can find you and what value, very briefly, that you offer to them in any industry.
Right. So for me, if you want to be in touch, I'm at Qais Badran, KAISBADRAN, in all social media. And what I claim to do is I help you break through helping you to think differently. My vision and game and probably gain is I'm hoping for an entrepreneurship that is better for our planet. For my baby that is coming, for your future kids, entrepreneurship can change the world. And I'm very happy to support in anything related to zero budget startups, helping people under poverty line, changing communities. This is my passion. This is what I like to do. In my other life, Grey Matter, it's greymatter.com. Maybe we can write it on the screen.
Yeah, that's
It's Grey Matter is a training agency that is offering people the easiest, most practical way of success in whatever industry they are in. So what we do is we call it the formula. We go and search for the right person with the right experience, and we cut out all the bullshit that sometimes the training industry is putting in. So theories. Here is your goal. This is how you do it. And this is how you can achieve quickly what you want to achieve. So that's what we do.
Qais, thank you very much for being on this show. And I genuinely learned a lot today across from our chat off when we're not recording and on the program itself. But thank you very much. Hope to see you soon.
It was my pleasure, and I really enjoyed my time, and let's do it again and see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's it for this week's episode of Escapade. If you feel like supporting my work, consider subscribing to this channel and reach out if you'd like me to talk about a special topic. In the next episode, we're going to continue our journey in finding what would it take to make us ready. If you want to be featured on a future episode, I'm happy to talk. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Appreciate your support. Until next time.